All right, my name is Erika, and I am a grateful, recovering heroin addict. When I was 15 years old, I began using pain medication after my doctor prescribed me hydrocodone for staph infection. Overall, through my childhood, I've had a very good childhood. Financially and physically, my parents were amazing. However, I did deal with the unfortunate events of watching my father emotionally abuse my mother as we grew up. And so as I watched that behavior, I began to think that that was just what love was. It was soon before the pain pills were no longer benefiting me, so I began searching something stronger, and that was when I found heroin. It wasn't long after that I also began using the needle. At that point, my life became very dark, and I began committing crimes to support my addiction. At one point I was homeless, and there was no hope for me at that point. After my crimes had caught up with me and I did a stint in jail, I was released from jail, and when you don't take care of issues, they don't disappear, so my addiction just came back 10 times harder. 2 months after I had my baby was 2 months old, I ended up relapsing again. And at this point, I knew I had some pretty serious responsibilities, being that I was now a new mother. So after 6 months of using, I decided to check myself into an out-of-state rehab. After 42 days of the rehabilitation, I completed it and I flew back home. But once again, I still had reservations to use one day because I did not realize how serious my addiction was or how deadly it would be. So I ended up relapsing just 2 short weeks after coming home from the rehab. Only this time I suffered a near fatal overdose. At this point, my addiction became very public, and a picture of me had went viral.
This is where police found that young mother Saturday afternoon. She was parked in the parking lot of this Dollar General here in Hope, right in this parking space right here. She was found by a passerby. Again, it was about 2 o'clock on Saturday afternoon when that passerby called 911. And this picture shows what first responders found when they arrived. The woman passed out in the driver's seat. A close-up shows the syringe still in her hand after injecting heroin.
People started following my story, and it was then that some pretty big doors opened for me. Unfortunately, it was that was what it took for me to realize how serious my addiction was. I was taken away from my son for 8 long months, and it was then that I decided to make a solid commitment to myself that I was not going to miss any more moments of his life. It was in jail during the first stint of my sobriety, when I found Celebrate Recovery there, that I dedicated my life to Christ and decided to make a commitment that I was going to work on a path to try to get sober. And crazy enough, now I am soon going to be a volunteer of CR on the Inside again, where we go in and have CR meetings with the inmates in jail, and I think that is so cool because that is where I found Celebrate Recovery myself. Not only was I resurrected from a spiritual death, but I was also resurrected from an actual death, and I can honestly say that God is not done with me yet.